Hello to my fellow Marvinauts. I believe that's what us Amazing Marvin people are called. And it's been a minute since I've done an update, and I just wanted to show, my current setup. It is now April 2022. Not too much has changed, but I really was inspired to do this because in the Facebook group we did hear from the founders. They kind of went quiet for a minute. I don't really want to, I'm not to speculate or guess or anything, but they were just going through something personal and they're back. And I don't expect them to see this, but if they do, like, I'm so glad you guys are okay. I'm so in love with your software. I like you guys as people, so um I think if you've been following Amazing Marvin, I just wanted to let you know, because if you're not in the Facebook group, you probably didn't see that update, have no idea what's happening. Because Marvin was so consistent with new updates and new things being released and all of this, and then it kind of just went quiet for a few months. But like, thankfully, the beautiful part about the software that and it's why it's one of my favorites, and I so happily am just a subscriber, is it affected absolutely not a drop of my use of the app. It does exactly what it's always done, unlike some other apps. I won't throw, well, yeah, I'll throw them under the bus. ClickUp is one that, like, constantly is having issues and bugs and all kinds of stuff. I didn't have any bugs, so I'm so glad that they were able to just take the time that they needed and work, and focus on other things. And for me, the software just carried on. And I just thought I showed a quick little update on what I'm doing, how I'm using the software. Let me angle it just a little bit better. Um, if I found anything new, honestly, if you have seen my videos from before, there is really not much of a change. you know, um, I don't think I've turned a single app off. I still use every single one of them, or what are they called? The strategies. Uh, I do have a daily target now of 4 hours a day of concentrated work. And for me, that just, let's just dive into like how I'm using Marvin and why it's still my favorite software. And as someone who has switched apps so many times in my life, to finally have a software that, like, I feel like I have found home is essential. Keeping in mind, I'm also in Marie Poulin's Notion Mastery course. I do love Notion for the documentation of things, for the keeping, I am a copywriter um, for my work, and being able to keep like all of my client articles and all of that in just one database giant thing is wonderful. But Marvin is my get things done app. It just is. So here's how I'm using it right now. First of all, I'm at level 98, which is devastating because I'm not going to click on it. Won't spoil it for everybody. But there's only 100 levels, and I am so sad to be at the end. So Christina, Mark, all the everybody who's working on the back end of the app, if you could please give us more levels and more dancing animations, that would make me extremely happy. Um, but anyway, so I had 2 hours of focused work for a long time in Marvin. I just wanted to make sure I was at least doing 2 hours of focused work inside the app which sounds really low, but I mean, in terms of pure concentration and like deep work, that was a lot for me. Like, there's a lot of context switching for me, and there shouldn't be. I should be working on it better. But making sure that I was doing that was essential. So like, I was good with hitting that. And then so I bumped it to 4. Like, okay, now let's start working on 4 hours of tracked time in a day inside of Marvin. And for a lot of people, maybe that's still low. Maybe you want to go higher. But like, concentrating that hard, and like, my rule of that is that, I use the Pomodoros up here and I don't do anything else, which for me and my little like monkey brain is incredibly not easy. So so we are up to 4 hours in there now. Um and then I have my weekly targets. And these are for me to make sure that I am focusing on all of the areas of my life. And to go really, really meta, I take that content and I put it in my paper planner at the end of my weekly reviews to kind of see what I focus on, because I'm a person who's like, oh, okay, yeah, like 4 hours of concentrated work a day, great. And then I realized that like every single one of my weeks was like 15, 20 hours of just client work. And I wasn't doing anything for a passion project. And I wasn't doing anything for like my own business. And I wasn't doing anything for like my goals and my all of these other categories that matter to me. And I was like, why is my house not decluttered? Why, I bought this dog training course. Why is my dog still a wild beast? I mean, she just is, but like all of these areas where I was like, okay, why am I not making progress? Just like so continuously confused on like why aren't these things moving along faster? And then I did this and I could see obviously why and how things were not going faster than they should be. So now I have those set up. It is Tuesday, so I gotta work a little bit on all these other areas, you know. And you can set them. This is just how mine is. These are my categories inside of my master list. And this is how I have them divided. Because I wanted them, this is just what works for me. A lot of people will do like their spouse or their kids or their fitness routine, like more areas of focus than these specific categories. But just know for Marvin, you can set those up any which way you want. If you want to just make sure that you're spending like, and you can do it in reverse too, making sure that you're not going over 4 hours of email time in a week. Make sure you're not going over, um, whatever category or whatever habit you're trying to break, being like, okay, maybe one of these is like YouTube, and just making sure that you're not watching more YouTube videos than um, you should be, which I'm as guilty of as anybody. But these are all categories. And then this check mark just means that it is a label. I have this set up as a label. I want to make sure I'm doing enough in my next actions because I followed a little bit of some GTD, but I didn't have the GTD set up in Marvin because I liked it exactly how I have it. So, but you can do that too. Like maybe you have a label based on certain things so you can pull from, and this label, like I was just going to say, pulls from all the categories. If I have something labeled as a next action, it just goes here just to make sure I'm doing enough of that in a week um, to get it going. And then these are my top priority projects. The quarter just started before anybody comes for me, which is why these three are zero, but making sure I'm publishing enough content from my blog. Um, I'm setting up a sales funnel for one of my products, spring cleaning of like my house and my internet and my everything, and then spring sowing. I'm a big gardener, so that is in the literal sense of I want to grow my seeds and like plant some things for spring. And for me, in the metaphorical like in the metaphorical way where I'm thinking, and I don't care. I don't know if people really care about my goals, but I thought I'd just walk through them anyway. But like also in the metaphorical sense of what do I want in my life to bloom in like a few months, right? Like, is there a product I want to offer people? Is there a service I want to like, is there a hobby I want to start selling at? What kind of seeds, physical and literal, do I want to sow in spring so I can reap the rewards in fall? Also, I'm just a huge gardener, so this metaphor worked for me mentally. But anyway, those are all here. This just means that it's due, but you can set these up how you want. I need to check in with some goals today. I have these set up. I don't use these three as much as I should, but I don't want them gone either. And for a lot of people, like I've said before, this is a lot. They just want to open up Marvin and see their tasks first thing and nothing else. And I love Marvin because you can do that. I am a person, and I've read that this is a sign of ADHD, and I don't know, I've not gone down that rabbit hole, but um I have to see things in front of me. If they are not in front of me, they don't exist. period. Like if I do not see it regularly, it doesn't. If I don't see these top goals as focuses, and I also have my yearly goals down here, which we'll get to, they don't exist. And I will just open that up and see my like 3 client things that are due today, and then that's all I'll think about, and that's all I'll focus on, and I won't think about anything else, and then I will forget them. And then I'd come to the end of the quarter, and I'm like, oh, I meant to work on that. I really meant to work on that. And like, it just took enough years of my life to have that happen to be like, nope, I need those. Whether it's on like a dry erase board and in front of my face, or like a sticky note and just like stuck to my forehead, I can't not see things in front of me every day. So that is how my Marvin is set up. And this cute little frog over here is just reminding you to um, go through your tasks and set the like eat the fraud task. It's a strategy I have turned on because there are some tasks that sometimes I just don't want to do in a day and I need it. So may or may not work for you, like I've said. Um, but let's see. Okay, don't. This is my schedule. And what I love about these are my time blocks that I have throughout the day. I focus in the morning on self-care time. I read, I get ready, I have coffee, I like prep my life. Goal work. I do content, which is why I'm filming right now, client work, filming, workout, dogs, and then just a low gap, and then power hour, which is like my next actions. Um, if you're a person who puts off doing your next actions, having a scheduled power hour where you just sit down and like blaze through every single next action, um, may or may not work for you. Anyway, plan the next day, hotspot clean, read, stretch, art journal, personal development, all that. And that is my day. I think this is a strategy I have turned on, but it's just my whole day. And the reason I have this turned on and love this so much is that depending on which block I'm in, I have Marvin set up here to give me a task suggested in that block. So if I did a terrible job of planning the next day and I did not plan my next day and, assign tasks into each one of those time blocks, Marvin can jump in here and go, hey, girl, like, I'm a little behind on this. Yeah, like, you need to do days per 70. Yeah. More than a little behind on that. My own blog took a back seat in the first quarter because, boy, I had some client work like crazy. But I've noticed it takes really, really old and overdue assignments. It takes really high priority assignments. It kind of intuitively, however they wrote the software to know what you need to work on in all of those tasks that are in that whole list, right? And which is something I love, and that's my why. What pops up there is that this is associated to a goal, which the goal I wrote, that's why I want to do this goal, like your big why behind each goal. And it's just something that like will pop up with the task to remind you when you don't want to do the task, why it's important to do the task. This is why Marvin is unlike any other feature and software in the world. It just really is. There's nothing like it. Nothing. So if you're a person who wants to auto schedule tasks and kind of get help and all of that, this strategy, and I think it's the like suggested task or something. If you just Google like suggested task, Amazing Marvin, I'm sure it pops up on how to set this up. But it's one of my favorite features when I don't know what to work on. Marvin just tells me like, okay, great. And then since I said no to that one, it goes to like the next one. Like, okay, well then you should do this one instead. This is next. Like, and if you use labels and use priorities and all these kinds of things, like Marvin will get smarter with knowing what to tell you to schedule. Um, I've heard loosely through the grapevine, not through the founders or anything. So I don't know how legit it is that they're kind of working on something like that, like to auto schedule, populate your day. But until that happens, just go here and just get this and just do it. Um, just some goals I'm working on. I just reset all of them as of like, let's say the 4 days ago. So clearly need to catch up and get some things in order and check off things I've already done. But um, This one I have for just starting my Pomodoro cycle. This one I have for quick tasks, which are just under 11 minutes, just things I need to get done, um, that kind of thing. So, okay, there we go. There's probably a way to superset that that's easier. But, and here is how I have my day set up. And then, of course, I haven't planned my day. It's like first thing in the morning. So I haven't fully sat down and done everything. I know I'm so far behind, but that's okay. Because Marvin, thankfully, does not beat you up for being behind, which is why I love this software. So you can just plan the day, which I always do and I love. And I think I've shown this before, but one of my favorite things is that if I just want to say, like, work on this for 30 minutes, just sometimes for some projects I have found it's hard to be like, oh, here's this next very specific task of like what I need to work on for this. And sometimes you're like, I just need to actually like sit down and work on this for 30 minutes instead of worrying about like, what's the action? What's the next action? Like, what am I going to do? Like, and mapping that all out and just be like, hey, in the morning, like, just work on this for 30 minutes. Like, if you could, if you could just get cracking on this for 30 minutes, that would be great. And it's one of my favorite features. To some projects, I don't have the wherewithal to plan every single little minutia task along the way of like what I need to do. And instead, it's just like, hey, just make sure you're spending time working on this today, which therefore, throughout the day, then it goes into up here. Like, okay, I'm going to work on this project 30 minutes. I track the time and then I see that it's like, it's growing. It's so essential to me. I don't know if anybody can relate to any of that, but I'm just explaining how my brain works out today, and now it's here. Just work 30 minutes on screen time. You can click on this and the Pomodoro starts and the time tracking starts and all of it. So, which you can do for any task. You can say like work 15 minutes on cleaning out my email inbox and then like this little time thing will show up. Cool. Okay. Like, and then I have all of my tasks organize themselves by the time block, and this is just how I organize my day. So I just know to like work through this, and then here's the like time block I'm in. So after I film this video, I need to work on my reels plan, and then I need to work on that, and then I need like, and then I can put my tasks in here depending on the time block. Um, sometimes which works for people or sometimes not, depending on your schedule and your mind. But I'm just explaining how my mind works and how I currently organize my stuff. So I think that's pretty much it. And then some smart lists I have. I have my next action, the label right here. So I can just go right into that. If I finish all the tasks in the day, then it's like, okay, what's next? Because I don't really personally like to schedule next actions because there's a lot of like factors and varying reasons why I need to work on some things and not others. Um, or whether I'm just exhausted all the time. I hate just like rescheduling things over and over and over and over. So instead, I personally just label them with next action. So, anyway, next action label, and then my smart lists are my next actions. Once again, just have it twice. You can't have it enough. And then my top crown priority project. Anything this week, either planned, do this week, whether I planned for this week, it's due this week, something is ending this week, all of that here. Any tasks with a priority label, which is just the stars. I love this one. This one's one of my favorites. Projects that are missing a next step. So a huge component of GTD is making sure that you have the next step of a project ready. And this I use for my weekly planning. So at the end of the week, I review all my projects and all of that, and I go in there and they all pull them down here. And these are every single project I have that does not have like an action associated with it. Because according to like David Allen, you can only do tasks. You cannot do a project. Which is a little contradictory of like what I said earlier about the 30 minutes on a project, but like I think you did the point, right? Okay, so I just make sure that each project has like a next action, and then that next action has a next action label, so it can be scheduled and I can get to it in the next action. So this month, same thing as this week, but just like throughout the month. And I organize all of these kind of in order. So these are how I kind of work through my tasks in the day after I'm done with what's scheduled and I need to do and all those things. So it's like, okay, my next, after I finish my daily tasks, then like my next actions in my mind are the next most important. Like, okay, I need to start hacking all of these other projects. Let's do this. And then like, okay, then like of course maybe priority should be first, but for right now it's just next actions, just like, things like cleaning out my desk inbox are not a top priority, but at the same time, I really just need these things done. Like they just have to get done by someone, and that someone is me. So, anyway, all right, now this month in current time block, which I have set up to like all of the options in my current time block that I could work on. So yes, everything with the in the content bucket and all of these tasks. And I have been putting off making my own content for like 2 months now, which is why we're here. Which is not Marvin's fault, that is my schedule's fault. But quit tasks, finish this week, finish next month, finish in the next 3 months, do this week, older than 3 months, no time estimate. Which sometimes I like to put in a time estimate. Because then you can search for tasks based on time estimates. You're like, okay, I have 30 minutes until my next call. Like, what can I get done in that time? And it does help a lot. I don't do it as religiously as I should, but it's in there. Due today or overdue. Ready to review tasks that haven't been scheduled. A lot. Master task list. Just sometimes I just want to go through and just blaze through all of my master tasks. And then finally, overdue. I think that's pretty much it. I think I've shown the project overview. A lot of these are the same as the labels, but I just kind of left them there because I just kind of like them. Just like I said, the fireworks are one of my favorites. But I think that's a good conclusion to the video. That you are awesome. Anyway, that is it. That is my current Amazing Marvin setup in um April 5th, 2022. So that is it for now. Maybe this was inspiring, maybe this was overwhelming, but I do have a coupon code to Marvin, I believe, down below. I don't have it memorized because I can't always remember it. If you want to, it gives you, instead of a 30-day trial, it's a 60-day trial. So you can fully test out Marvin for yourself and see if it is a good fit. It's a great fit for me, I can tell you that. So that is it. Thank you for watching, guys.